waste your time in looking back. I've heard a lot of people say, just keep your eyes on the future, forget the things you did yesterday. But every now and then I like to look back and reminisce how good it's been, walking on this Christian journey and having Jesus as my friend. Through the years he's blessed me, through the years he's kept me, through the good times and the bad. He's been the best friend I've ever had. Through the years I'll love him, through the years I'll serve him, till I reign with him forever. Through the along with blessings by the score. Love like a thought could never be, got sweeter than each day before.
A lot of things have changed. You and I have changed a lot. This building and this property has changed tremendously, and all of the young people have changed, and we've even aged quite a bit.
A whole lot.
But also, this building has aged. I see signs that show that it has aged tremendously. But through the years, it happens to everything and to all of us, and we go through a tremendous change and cycle. But, man, isn't it fun to look back to the good times that we had, to the all the wonderful memories that are housed inside this building, and the memories that are housed inside these minds, and the things that we can remember about each one, and the wonderful things that have happened to us. I just take time sometime to sit back and to think about the times that we had. Not that those times are any better than today, because today is a good time, but it is fun to stop every now and then and to recall. And we're so excited about the reunion as everybody comes back together, and we can sit down and we can reflect upon many good things that we shared together. We don't have the opportunity now to always share things together, but we did then, and now then tonight, this special night, we can recall all of these memories and we can share them together again. What do you remember?
I was thinking about the actually coming back, and when the youth group was put together, and looking back at the old slides, which they'll be able to see tonight in this, just how much we have changed. But it's great that the Lord is the same yesterday, today, and forever. I love him for that, and I appreciate the opportunity to worship with our friends once again and have a great night in him. Reed, when he was 18, and then Brother Reed was going to marry me, and he was... all the memories, and if it had not been for the vision of Brother and Sister Reed in coming to Memphis, those memories would not have been made possible. And it's through Brother and Sister Reed's vision that we've got a lot of happy remembrance. Even this house has a lot of, the walls speak of our past and of what we are today. And I'm just thankful that God sent Brother and Sister Reed our way to help us have good memories of when we were growing up. And I'll just let Brother Reed and Sister Reed tell you about those memories. They were great leaders. Brother Reed.
Well, it's good to have you here, Dub and Doris. Remember the old days and kind of reminisce a little bit. Of course, I've forgotten a whole lot of things, but a lot of things I still remember. And never forget when you and Doris, Dub and Doris, both of you came to our rescue with the young people here. We had the new work that we started, and a lot of young people, and a lot of young people to be reached. And that was the desire of our heart. And of course, that was your desire. And you fit right in. You were just an answer to the prayer that we prayed. And we had a lot of good times together. I'll let my wife say something.
One of the things that was written about so much, and I think it was referred to in every letter, was not like today, but a day when snow covered this yard. And the kids had gotten snowed in at church, and I think we was practicing for a Christmas play, and there had come a snow that was so bad that we could not get back home. Even though we just come from Alaska, we could not get home. And we didn't know what we was going to do, and we walked down here, and Brother and Sister Reed put us up for the night, and she fed and took care of all of us that night, put up with us, and there was a bunch, and Sister Reed said 16 that morning for breakfast, and we had a tremendous time. And it's one of the fondest memories because everybody wrote about coming down here and spending the night with y'all. We got a lot of other good memories too, but that one is just a highlight, special memory. You remember cooking breakfast for us?
I just remember what a time we had trying to find a place to put everybody down for the night, bedding them down. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. I've heard a lot of young people refer to that time. I didn't realize that it had impressed so many people, but it did, evidently, and it was a glorious time to remember. We're just walking down memory lane today, trying to remember some of the things that were so impressive to all of our youth group. I can remember what a dedicated bunch we had. Anything that their pastor asked them to do, they could always carry that out. Even it may seem like a task at the time, but they could do it. It was like every fall we had hay rides, and I can remember that when I was a young person in high school, and our high school had hay rides, my mother wouldn't let me go. She'd say, "No, you're not going to be piling around on a load of hay with a bunch of boys," and she wouldn't let me go. So the very first hay ride that I ever went on was with our youth group at First Church and with my husband. And so I can remember that was a great time. Okay. Talk about there's young people coming from all
Overhead, we right here in the plain area. And of course we're happy for this occasion to think of all the good times we had. The young people were a blessing to the church. I'll never forget them. And of course I felt young with them to enjoy the many things that we did. We think of them, and even today our memory goes back sometimes to things we did, like the hay ride and the wiener roast and other things that remember. And of course we remember the services and our young people, some of them as they preached or testified and talked, whatever. And the great part is that many of them have turned out to be preachers and song leaders and well, just everything that we're proud of.
Years, we've come a long ways. This picture reminds us of how far we have come. These are the early days on Broad in Hollywood, and most of the young folks refer to this place as the bomb shelter. How many will remember this home? This is where Jane and Peggy grew up. And we all remember Brother and Sister Reed coming to Memphis and taking over the pastorate of First United Pentecostal Church. And this is the Reed family as they were then. We see Rick and Mike and Sam and Cindy, beautiful family that came to pastor us in those early years. The First United Pentecostal Church at Young and Barksdale. We have a lot of fond memories housed within the walls, if they could only speak of this building. And then 1835 Oliver, home of Brother and Sister Reed. Since they are coming to Memphis, we have learned to love this home as our church father's home. Overton Park, we've had a lot of picnics, a lot of parties, a lot of Easter egg hunts, bike-a-thons, a lot of things that all began and end right here under this pavilion at Overton Park. And Pink Palace, one of Memphis's landmarks. This is the Coliseum. I don't even know if the Coliseum was there when we first became a youth group, but was added a few years later and is a Memphis landmark now. Here we have Liberty Memorial Stadium, another new landmark in the city of Memphis. A lot of you come from out of town now and no longer live in Memphis, and we wanted to make your memories of Memphis to include some of these memories that may have be on the scene now. Again, we have the stadium. This is Liberty Land. Back when we were youth, we went to Lakeland, but now then the big thing is to go to Liberty Land. And of course, Elvis Presley's home, Graceland. And the king himself, Elvis. And we remember this site. Quizzers will remember flying in at night and viewing the Memphis airport, beautiful from the air, and it's a beautiful building to the Memphis skyline. And then, of course, the Peabody, famous for its ducks. And the Showboat, Memphis Queen. We have taken several youth trips down the Memphis Queen. Know what fun we had as we celebrated the occasion going down the Mississippi River. And Memphis, the city on the bluff that overlooks the mighty Mississippi River. And the downtown skyline with Mud Island. Here we have Mud Island with the miniature Mississippi flowing right along beside the mighty Mississippi. Overton Park. Again, we've had so many bike-a-thon and fun times at Overton Park and at the zoo. Just a lot of memories of roaming around in those familiar roads. And oh my, roller coaster. Several have ridden the roller coaster, gotten sick. I'm sure if Mary Ellen rode, she got sick. We stopped that ride at Lakeland just to let her off. The Allen family. Here we have Nancy and Jay and Brother Herbert. And he has such a fond place in our hearts as our orchestra leader. There's Conway Tweedy.
That's Scott Allen.
Oh, and Marie. Brother and Sister Booker and Mary Ellen brings back a lot of wonderful memories. Billy and her husband Charles. Debbie, Brian Bell. And who is that? Susan? No, that's that picture that Duke put in there just to see if we'd put a name on it. Yeah. That Duke. Must be him in the middle. Ronnie and Diane Trammell.
Girl that came. What's her name?
Must be somebody David recruited.
Yeah, new girl.
Melba Worley. and Mike and Vicki Reed. Almost didn't know Mike. Oh, the Tennessee River. We switch rivers. And the old Alvin C. York Bridge. That bridge is a part of history now. It is no longer. They have put a brand new bridge spanning the Tennessee River. This is on the old campground at the dining hall. And we all head for the dining hall. This is made inside the tabernacle, and we are on the campground in June of 1964. See if you can find yourself. And the orchestra, several of our young people played in the camp orchestra. On the back row, back there you see David Voiles with his trumpet. I also see Brother Stanley Holland, a missionary now on the field, serving for our organization. And then there is Ann Allen and Judy Barron and Vicki Kozaski, all representing our church in the camp orchestra. Oh, what wonderful memories the campground holds for all of us. See Sister Moline Harville, a friend to all of the youths. I believe that's Alton Barron. Alton, fond memories that he recalled in his letter was camp days, and I see why. Alton again, and I think that's a different girl. Oh, off of the hill, time for recreation, a good ball game. It's Glenn David Crane. David Voiles. And look there, flipping that quarter. I like those shades. Make him look cool. And talking about cool, look at those shades. And he's got a quarter too. The only reason they had a quarter left is because they hadn't been to the stand yet to spend it on one of the girls. And then we have more campers, including Marie Allen, Mary Allen Booker, Ann Allen, and Judy Barron. Now I'm so glad that Jerry had just gotten him a brand new camera so he could make all of these pictures. And here we have Patsy Sandy. Patsy Smith Sandy. And again we have David. I wonder who woke this lady up. You're welcome, just come in any time. This was one evening when the youth just dropped by, but what a way to catch her. My goodness. You take my picture and I'll take yours. What is going on under that table? See Brother David Voss enjoying himself. He's got a new package of slides there. They just come back from the shop, and he likes those. They must have censored this roll because I don't think we're seeing the same slides that David is seeing. Then Bemis Pentecostal Church, exactly 45 minutes from Memphis, according to Brother David. Jerry found this a great place to recruit new members. And here we have Donita Jackson Sykes. And our church orchestra, one that became very famous, even made it on television. And that is, starting on the back row, we have David Voss, Vicki Kozoski, Ronnie Trammell, Clarence Turner, Mike Finkley. On the second row, we have Ann Sparks, and whose head is missing there? Hilda Lassiter, Ann Allen, Judy Barron. On the front row, we have Marie Gillen, Mary Ellen Booker, and Patsy Smith. Final. This is the first anniversary in July 1964 in Doris Reese's Sunday School class. And starting on the front, we have Marie Allen, Pat Barron, Judy Barron, Billy O'Neill, Wanda Hawkins, Diane Smithers, Ann Sparks, and Mary Ellen Booker. And another class made on this Sunday, we probably teachers here on the front, is Sister Reed and Sister Virgie Brown. And in the class, we have Peggy Fisher, Jane Fisher, Margaret Goforth White, and then on the next row we have David Voss, Patsy Sandy, and I'm not sure who that young man is, Hilda Lassiter, then Larry Church, and Vicki Kozoski. Mike Finkley teaching this class of boys, and on the front row we have Danny Tidwell, Clarence Turner, and Wayne Hawkins. And I don't know the visitor on the second row. Then on third row we have Ronnie Trammell and Alan Sparks, Mike standing in the back, and there's still another young man that I don't recognize. This class of all boys, W.D. Reese taught, and we have Paul Smithers and Gary Church and Tony Haley, Danny Webb, and Fred Dykos, Rick Reed, and Donnie Voles. Here's a class that Brother Charles Haley was teaching, and in it we have Tommy Sparks, and there is Richard Kozoski in the red. On the back row we have Mike Reed, Paul Voss, Billy Caraway, and the head that you barely can see is Wayne Gillen. Sister Pearl Rose Sparks and her girls that she's teaching. That's Patsy Ishman, Janice Allen, and Kathy Sparks. And this we have is our church trio at that time, Brother Herbert Allen and Sister Marilyn and Sister Vicki Kozoski. I wonder if they were singing, "He washed my eyes with tears," or "He washed my ears with tears." Brother Ernie Jolly, an anniversary, and this would have been anniversary of July 1964, and we have standing there taking all the eating in is Mike Reed and Danny Webb and Susan Braithwaite and Tommy Sparks. And First United Pentecostal Church at Young and Barksdale. This is the summer of 1964, and we have Judy Barron, Billy O'Neill, Ann Sparks, Ann Allen, Marie Gillen, and Pat Barron, and Mary Ellen Booker. Where are you girls going? Oh, it's going birthday time, going away time for Vicky Kozowski. And there's Carolyn Johnson. See David over there taking in all of the excitement. And Ann Sparks. I'll never tell. Brown bagging. Okay, this is our hayride. And this would have had to been in October of 1964. See, everybody's donned their sweaters and their jackets because the evening's gotten colder, and we enjoying the dedication service that we had around the campfire. And I'll try to name most of them. There's Ann Sparks, Bruce Allen, Danny Tidwell, Larry Church, Donita Sykes, Jerry Sykes. Take that back. She wasn't a Sykes then. She was Donita Jackson. And Jerry Sykes, and Brother and Sister Reed, and Mary Ellen Booker, Pat Barron, and in the red in the back is Scott Allen. I think that's all I can really tell. The same group again. A few more added faces there. See Peggy and Judy come into the picture, and Clarence Turner. Few that was not showing up before around that other picture has been added to that one. Can you pick yourself out? And Sister Reed and Mary Ellen, Brother Reed, Jerry and Donita, Ronnie Trammell and Scott, and Larry Church, Danny Tidwell.
Sister Reed's looking at her watch because she thinks it's time to adjourn. Not really. I said, not really.
Oh, she didn't want to adjourn. It's food time. That's what time it is. And there we have Peggy Fisher and Jane back in the background, and Bruce and Jerry and Donita. Tell you that Jerry was sticking awfully close to that Donita that night. Maybe that's because she's still Donita Jackson. And there's Corinne Turner. Back in the saddle again. Back where a friend is a friend. That's a saddle.
That poor old horse.
He lost his friend. Oh, that's Scott Allen. Young Mr. Scott Allen. And Jerry Sykes. Oh, has she ever ridden before? Ann Sparks. Doesn't look like she's going to ride. He just wants to stand there. And this is Ann. This is Eddie Sandy, but we're missing part of Eddie's face. And Doris Reese. Looks like they put me on a slow-moving horse. Ronnie Trammell. And Donita Jackson.
Oh, down the dusty road, o'er the rugged land, walked the old-time preacher with the Bible in his hand. Old-time preacher man, preaching about the promised land and not for worldly fame. That old-time preacher man, preaching for the souls of men, preached it mighty plain. Oh, down at the altar rail, oh, how sinners fell, my how they...
And Brother W.D. Reese, a mouthful of marshmallow. And Jerry Sykes and Donita Jackson. This is December of 1964, and we have recruited some help and decorated our fellowship hall into a snow-time winter wonderland. And this is Billy, and she was the youth department queen for the evening. It's Billy O'Neill, and her escort that night's Clarence Turner. Some of the girls enjoying the party have Billy O'Neill and Peggy Fisher and Carolyn Howard and Ann Sparks. Oh boy, we had a lot of girls, and see if you can pick yourself out. We'll start down there by the radiator is Judy Barron, Pat Barron. Who's next? Carolyn Johnson and Billy O'Neill, and then that's Peggy Fisher, Carolyn Howard, Ann Sparks. Some of them's got their back to the camera. This is our boys, and we have a young man that was visiting with us sitting here by David Voles, and then yonder's Mike Finkley and Ronnie Tramble and Larry Church and Clarence Turner, some with their backs to the camera. And this is Marie Gillen, as she's fixing to take a walk in this game that we're playing. Sister Reed is helping her. And Scott is also helping her with Ricky Reed and Mike Finkley cheering them on. She was taking a trip. And here we have Ronnie Tramble. They make that same famous walk. They didn't know they was walking on crackers. We find David to be a real good sport. And Carolyn Howard. Watching from the background is Bruce Allen. And Sister Pearl Rose Sparks, as she worked with us in the youth department. Oh my goodness. Sister Pearl Rose Sparks and Sister Doris with Brother and Sister Reed and Ricky. Well, it always takes one to clean up, and here we have Marie Gillen. I don't know if she cleaned up because she lost the game or because she volunteered. And I see that Ann Sparks and Carolyn Howard in the background. Mike Finkley's also helping with the cleaning up. Graduation time rolls around that year, and we have Mike Finkley and Jane Wiley, Jane Fisher, and Carolyn Howard Patterson, and Peggy Fisher Shelby, and David Voles. Here we have David and Carolyn Howard. This is Lakeland, 1965, when the youth group went out for days of activities, and looks like that man that looks small from a distance is Brother Reese. I believe that's David. A devout recruiter for our church, always out to recruit new ones. David's such a recruiter that he recruited his own Bonnie Walker. Met Bonnie at Second Sunday Singing, and it wasn't long until he had persuaded her to become his own true love, and he said, "I do." And we have some girls that's also out to recruit, only they were looking for the boys. Have Ann Sparks, Ann Allen, and Mary Ellen Booker. But not far away, keeping an eye on everything, was Brother Herbert always. Here we have Sister Virgie Brown's class, and I believe this is in Vacation Bible School. And sitting right in front of Sister Virgie is Paul Voles. And next to Paul, taking a leisure break, is It's like Wayne Gillen, and right behind him, Billy Caraway, Wayne Hawkins, Paul Smithers, Tommy Sparks, Fred Dykes. And on the other side, the table, we have Judy Barron and Wanda Hawkins. And this would have been about August of 1967. Sister Mary Ellen Booker and Linda Chapman. And Doris Reese, Ann Allen in the background, and this is Vacation Bible School of 67. Ann is directing the music that year of Bible School, and we have a choir full. I see Paul Voles and Tommy Sparks and Billy Caraway on the back row, and on the front row here is Wayne Gillen, and several hiding behind their papers. This is Sister Grace Webb's class. Right beside her in the blue is Paula Kirkendall. Then we have Gary Church. I think that's Fred Dykes that you can't see. Paul Smithers. See Janice Allen on the other side. Sister Marie Gillen Allen. And she did the special story in the opening of Bible School. And this is Vacation Bible School 1967. In the office, we have Sister Laverne King and Brother Jerry Sykes and Danny Webb. And the music that year with Sister Lockie Moore at the piano and Ann Allen helping. And I love those shoes that Ann's wearing. And Doris Reese. This is the choir for the youth department. See Brother Reese and Sister Pearl Groves and Sister Grace Webb would have been the teachers within that department, and quite a few of you can pick yourselves out. I think on the front row there we have Paul Voles and Diane Trammell and Linda Edwards, and I see Sam Reed and Debbie Bryan. Quite a few can find yourself in that picture. Johnny Robinson. This class is taught by Fred Dykes and Norma Anderson East. This looks like Keith Bryant. This teachers in this class was Mike Reed and Marie Gillen and Sister Booker. I believe that is Melanie that is right there beside Marie. Vacation Bible School 1967. This would have been the opening of Bible School. You see at the piano Judy Barron, and this is Dub and I on the platform, and our flag bearers are Sammy Reed and Mark King, and carrying the Bible is Diane Robinson. We have again the choir for Vacation Bible School. And this is a different year. We have a different group of teachers. Have Sister O'Neill and Sister Pearl Rose Sparks and Kathy Sparks and Fred Dykes and Donnie Voles and Norma Anderson as workers that year in this particular department. And the choir director for this department that year is Danita Sykes. This is still Vacation Bible School. We have Sister Grace Webb teaching this class of youth. We have Paul Voles. And then there's Ronnie and Diane. They're both Trammell's now. Judy Barron. And on the sitting down there is Jonelle Fisher Hensley. And Jonelle now lives in California. And beside her is Linda Edwards. And we was unable to get an address on Linda, but I understand that she is in Hawaii as a missionary. This is a program that was put on, a skit that we did for one of Brother Reed's trips that he was fixing to take or had just come back from the Holy Lands. And it was a reenactment of the hijacking on the airplane, a skit that was done. This was still a Christmas social, but it was also soon after one of his return trips. And we have pilots and stewardess and passengers aboard this airlines that's fastly heading to Israel. And we have a hijacker. And now it's Christmas time again. You may recognize several familiar faces. I see right up in the center is Nancy Allen. And, of course, Janie is over here on the your left-hand side. Cindy on the right-hand side. This Christmas play became a very popular Christmas play because we not only did it at First Church, but we also did it in Bemis at the Bemis Pentecostal Church. And it was the story of a senator. And the senator was played by Dan Webb. He's the heavy-set guy in the dark suit. And he is accompanied by his wife, who was Ann Allen, in the Mouton. And they were talking with the reporter, who was Donnie Voles. And also in the skit there in the middle, you will see Mike Reed and Janice Allen. And then at the table is Cheryl Blankenship. And here we have some more of the cast. You see Cheryl Blankenship, Rick Reed, Danny Webb, and Ann Allen, Peggy Fisher, and David Voles. David Voles and Donnie Voles. This was a nursery class, and Sister Doris there. I think the one that's crying in the white that I'm holding is Nathan Webb. But we also have Judy Barron, and this is Pat Barron's sister, Betty, here on the far right. And we have Janice Allen with the little nursery class. This class is Sister Pearl Groves, Brother Ernest Barron, and Sister Ted Allen. You may be able to recognize yourself. I see several Allen Newman, Johnny Robinson, Diane Robinson. This class of young people, looks like the teacher, Sister Haley. Is it Sister Haley? Wayne Gillen on the back row. Coming on across is Gary Church and Paul Smithers. On the next row, we have see Vicki Reed, Mike Reed, Sam Reed, and then we have Jamie and Debbie and Linda Edwards and Jonelle Fisher. This class is Paul Hawkins. They're on the front. See Mike and Linda Finkley. Margaret Goforth. Charles and Billy Hamilton. Jane and Wendell Wiley. Haley Boy. And boy, this is a class of juniors. Sister Libby Neighbors and Sister Pearl Rose Sparks and Charlene Trammell and Peggy Fisher. And right there on the front row is Danny, Uncle Mark. There's Jay Allen and Mike Neighbors. I also see Janie, Cindy, and I also see teaching back there. Is it Jimmy Trammell? Peggy Shelby. I don't know if Danny was teaching all girls or if all the other boys had left and the teacher wasn't in the class. But we have Danny here starting on the right. Cheryl Blankenship's, Ann Allen, Kathy Sparks, Karen Hall, Wanda Hawkins, and we don't know that last young lady. That's Mike, giving their sign a new look. This is Janice and Sister Glennis Hawkins, and that is Peggy's son, Stephen Shelby, right here in the front. One of our famous Christmas productions. And Ann Allen, she sings the solo and directs the choir. And Keith Ham had joined us as music director. Many of you remember singing in the choir that Brother Keith Ham led. And Brother Booker, bless his heart, it's wonderful to see him in the pictures. And Brother Troy Voles, Duke and Wayne are up to something. And then I see Sister Shoemate, Sister Mary Gillen, Wanda, and Mary Ellen back there up to something. There's Sister Newman and Sister Hawkins and Sister Booker, Sister Pearl, Sister Busby, Sister Desi Voles and Glennis Hawkins, Virginia, also Janie Voles and Sister Pearl Rose Sparks. And I believe that this is one of our many showers that we've had, some of the games and activities, and we all enjoy. And see Dan Webb and Duke Phillips in this picture. And there's Mother Webb in the background. And see Dan Webb and Sister Reed as they're up to a game at this night. Sister Reed and Vicky. Vicky's cutting the cake there. And Sister Peggy Shelby, she's teaching these girls at Vacation Bible School. And I believe this is Linda Sparks here in the foreground. The Quizzing Hall of Fame. These young people deserve a hand of applause for dedicating themselves to studying God's Word. Fred Dykus, Danny Webb, Mike Reed, Judy Barron, Debbie Bryan, Donald Voles, Paul Voles, Kathy Sparks, Sammy Reed, Randy Dykus, Vicki King, Nancy Allen, Pam Bryant, Renee Smith, Devinda Anderson, and Jeff Sanders. Coaches Doris Reese and Norma Anderson. This is Norma receiving a coaching award, and Norma coached for almost 5 or 6 years, and it's wonderful. This is a Quizzers trophy being presented to Fred Dykus. Here he has the 1973 quiz team. A lot of you remember these young people. It was probably the last year that First Church had a quiz team. We have Jeff Sanders, Sam Reed, and Randy Dykus, Renee Smith, and Devinda Anderson. The choir directed by Ann Allen, with Mary Carolyn Gray at the organ and Sister Marge Pilot at the piano. The Quizzers. In this picture we have Dan Webb and Debbie Bryan, Fred Dykus, Judy Barron, Mike Reed. And on the piano back there is Sister Lockie Mower. And Sister Lockie prayed for them faithfully every time they was to sit down to quiz. And that was their backup supporters. This was a Christmas program play that they also did. They have Marie Allen here in the front. See Jeff and Liz Sanders and Diane Trammell. It's Fred Dykus, and the one that you recognize right here on the right is Scott Allen and Greg Pilot. Jeff Sanders, Diane Trammell, Liz Sanders and Fred Dykus. First Church done a lot of really great productions. Here we have Art East, James Holly, Sam Reed, Mary Ellen Booker, Peggy Shelby, and Norma Anderson East. And oh, we're on the bus again.
Welcome to the Blessed Old Bible Hour, coming to you from the First United Pentecostal Church, 1915 Young Avenue at Barksdale in Memphis, Tennessee.
Our church trio, for numbers of years, consisted of the Allen sisters, and that was Ann and Nancy and Janice.
Troubles that I had down here below. Not one time will I miss crying over heartache, pain, and woe. Not one time will I miss Egypt when I reach that promised land. Not one time will I miss this old world when by my Lord I stand. Not one time am I gonna miss sorrow when this old world I leave behind. For I've got my sights on the city where the sun will always shine. And when Jesus calls me from this world, I'll miss it not one time. I've seen many sights of beauty, but they all shall pass away. Though I've known the Lord.
Jesus, the mere mention of his name can calm the storm, heal the broken, and raise the dead. The name of Jesus, I've seen sin harden me and melted, derelicts transformed, the lights of hope put back in the eyes of a hopeless child. At the name of Jesus, hatred and bitterness turn to love and forgiveness, arguments cease. I've heard a mother softly breathe his name at the bedside of a child delirious from fever, and I've watched that little body grow quiet and a fevered brow cool. I've sat beside a dying saint, her body racked with pain, who in those final fleeting seconds summons her last ounce of ebbing strength to which earth's sweetest name. Jesus, Jesus. Emperors have tried to destroy it. Philosophies have tried to stamp it out. Tyrants have tried to wash it from the face of the earth with the very blood of those who claimed it. Yet still it stands. There shall be that final day when every voice that has ever uttered a sound, every voice of Adam's race, shall raise in one great mighty chorus to proclaim the name of Jesus. For in that day, every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. Ah, so you see, it was not mere chance that caused the angel one night long ago to say to a virgin maiden, his name shall be called Jesus. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. You know, there's something about that name. Jesus.
This is the Smith family. Sister Smith is now in Bolivia as missionaries to Bolivia with her two daughters, Renee and Laureen Smith. This is Sunday school staff of First Church. And starting on the front row, and Sister Glennis Hawkins and Peggy Shelby, Norma Anderson, Sister Reed, Doris Reese, Grace Webb, Wanda Hawkins, Sister Hammett, Elizabeth Bryant, Sister Gillen, Sister Haley, Sister Pearl Groves, Sister Pearl Rose Sparks, Sister Smith, then Wayne Hawkins, Brother Ernest Barron, Brother W.D. Reese, Johnny Sparks, and Kenny Holyfield, and Jerry Sykes. This is a church trio a few years later, as it consisted of Scott Allen, Ann Allen Holyfield, and Marie Allen. First United Pentecostal Church relocated to its new location where it's presently located, and that's at Mowry and Watson. Brother and Sister Reed continued to pastor in the new location and lead the people. And now then, today, the church at Mowry and Watson is pastored by Reverend and Mrs. James Sharp. This is Reverend Wayne Gillen, who is now living in Minnesota, but was the associate pastor at First Church for a number of years. We have a choir under the direction of Brother Verl Pilot. This is the Reed family. We have Mike and Vicki Reed holding Christy, their little one, and it has Sam Reed and Cindy Reed, Brother and Sister Reed in the car. Anniversary car, gift for anniversary. This is Reverend T. Richard Reed with two associate pastors, Reverend Rick McCarver and Reverend Bruce Allen. This would serving as anniversary committee this particular year is Bruce Allen with his wife Sharon Allen, Duke Phillips, and Rick McCarver and his wife Debbie McCarver, Marie and Scott Allen. And here we have Sister Peggy Shelby, Glennis Hawkins, and Lena Johnson. We have Sister Marie Allen. Class of 20 BC. Duke Phillips. Class of 20 BC. Sister Grace Webb. This is a skit. This is Duke Phillips. Here we have Debbie Smith McCarver as she sings for one of our anniversary services. Sister Mary Carolyn Gray singing for us, backed up by the choir. There's John Knight and James Holly and Vicki Reed, Debbie McCarver. Sitting down here on the front is our dear beloved Reverend M.H. Hansford. Brother Hansford has gone on to be with the Lord. Sitting beside of him there is Brother Reed. This is the Reed family. This particular anniversary, we have Brother and Sister Reed and Cindy and Rick, and there we have Patty holding Jennifer, and who's just a baby, Margie and Sam Reed, and he's holding Timmy. And then we have Mike and Vicki Reed here on the end with them holding Christy. The Reeds now have 10 grandchildren today. We have Sister Debbie at the organ back there, then Brother Floyd Smith and Brother Isaac and Brother James Holly and Brother Johnson, Freddie Johnson, and Brother Bruce and Allen and Brother Rick McCarver seem to be enjoying themselves. And this is Father's Day. Brother Reed's giving the awards. And here we have Brother T. Richard Reed. Brother and Sister Reed, and I'm sure if we had the music right here, they would be singing God Leads His Dear Children Along.
In shade, green pastures, all rich and all sweet, God leads His dear children along. Between the wonderful flow bathes the weary one's feet, God leads His dear children along. Some through the water, some through the flood, some through the fire, but all through the blood. Some through great sorrow, but God gives a song in the night season and all the day long. Sometimes on the mount where the How can we tell you the things we must tell you, the things that we want you to know? All about living and reasons for giving and things that will help you to grow. There isn't a thing that the future could bring that could take back the gift that you are. You are a treasure we never could measure, just some things we must tell you, children. That God has a plan that you must understand. No matter how much you arrive, never stop dreaming, keep working and singing, but remember just whose child you are. Stand tall and walk straight and be home before 8. Just some things I must tell you, children. Just one more thing. Whatever you do, remember, we love you.